Well, it's actually been a little while since we've had a new Nintendo Switch Online update to discuss on the channel, but that time has now come to an end because we do have a brand new round of game updates to talk about from Nintendo. Yes, we had that big stint towards the end of November. Well, really, I would say it kicked off in October when we got like 3 or 4 drops, primarily all into the expansion pack tier, and then we actually had quite a few games added over the course of November, with Nintendo going on a Donkey Kong spree, adding in Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3. Unfortunately, the update that we're talking about today does not continue that Donkey Kong goodness, because we are not talking about Donkey Kong 64 on the N64 or Diddy Kong Racing for that matter. But nonetheless, we have 3 different Super Nintendo games that I do want to boot up and share my initial gameplay impressions on, one of which I think many people are going to be very happy to see added into this service. As you can first see the following tweet over from Nintendo of America, which reads, 3 Super NES classic titles are now live for Nintendo Switch Online members. Fatal Fury 2, and that's, I'm sure, the big one for many people out there. Super Ninja Boy, which I have not played, and Suit Hakun, I'm probably saying that first word wrong, but anyway, a Japanese game that has not previously been released in North America to my understanding. Interesting puzzle-based one, but as I mentioned, I want to boot up these games briefly and really actually talk about more of the exciting future that we have to look forward to with Nintendo Switch Online, now that we know the service is, of course, rolling forward to Nintendo's next-gen console, and we've actually had our first look at that next-gen console. And I also want to dive into when is the most likely time we will see the next round of updates, because I'm actually fairly confident it's happening next month, and I will explain why. So we'll unpack all of that, but before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And with that, we'll hop right over to some Super NES Nintendo Switch Online gameplay. So always a good thing to see the SNES library built out a little bit further, as you know, I mean, yes, we've gotten a lot of these Japan only releases here recently. Maybe you like those, maybe you don't. If you've wanted to check them out, or if you're somebody that, you know, has seen them but never had the opportunity to play them. But obviously overall, pretty good library for SNES at this point in time. The one thing is Nintendo, in my opinion, could go a little bit more aggressive with some of the licensed games. I know there's probably a lot of red tape around bringing over like the Star Wars games and, you know, let's say Speedy Gonzales and let's say Goof Troop, you know, amongst many other franchises. But nonetheless, that's why you're kind of surprised to see a Fatal Fury 2 drop into the service. This is a game that for me, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for. I've definitely played it at friends' houses and arcades over the course of time, if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, I'm not a huge one-on-one fighter fan, so, you know, you talk about Street Fighters and all, you know, all of the different one-on-one fighting games of the world. I've never been the pro at those with combos and everything else. So, you know, Smash Bros won my heart as a fighting game, and that's really the only one I've spent any notable length of time in terms of, you know, anything that has to do. It's definitely a different style fighting game than this, so you get the idea. But nonetheless, really cool that, you know, Fatal Fury's added into the service, and you know, you have to keep in mind you have online play with this for the first time, which is obviously going to be a big win for people. You can play with a friend online, or you can you know, obviously just hop into some local play as well. But I would like to see, you know, obviously, as we talk about kind of the transition for Nintendo Switch Online to the next gen, I don't know if they would go back and do this. Come on, we had a decent lead, but it doesn't look like it's going to go well. Am I guys having a heart attack or something now? I think he was completely stunned. Nonetheless, you know, as we transition to Switch 2, it does seem like we might be in the situation where Nintendo could go back and fundamentally add some things to their online service. And I wonder if they would entertain the idea of doing online differently in terms of being able to play against random people, or just create a room where other people with the service could hop in and play you online, and you don't have to specifically have them added into your friends list. That is very much something I would like to see, and I think it'd be a huge win for revitalizing some of these games. We won't continue to just get totally dominated in this game, so we'll go out to Ninja Boy, that I'm actually curious about, or Super Ninja Boy rather, because one game that I've never played before. And yeah, CPU difficulty, no joke on Fatal Fury. So I'm sure there's some pros in the comments that are just, you know, obviously I got completely demolished by him. But nonetheless, we'll see how this one checks out for us. Another 1992 game, aka the year I was born in actually. So we'll start off on easy and just kind of go through any story elements. I did see, like, in the trailer, you know, interesting, like almost reminded me a little bit of Zelda 2 Link's Adventure, where you kind of like have that top overview, but then you have the opportunity to go side scroller view as well. And what an interesting movement speed. That is the first thing that sticks out to me. This is a very slowed down game. Like, it just seems like it's running at like 2 frames per second. But nonetheless, we'll see what this one has to offer. You know, if you don't have nostalgia for a lot of the old games, I can see how, you know, maybe it's not necessary, or I wonder if easy maybe just slows it down. I could probably see that being the case too. If you select easy, it maybe goes slower than if you didn't. But yeah, you know, something where these games, if you have nostalgia for them, you're probably like super happy to see them. And if you don't, you might care less about them, but it is still cool to hop into certain ones and see if it's anything that catches your attention. So, you know, this is one for me that I'm just going to find out what it's all about for the first time. But yeah, you know, I would love to see something like a room matchmaking for the online play in NSO in the 2.0 version. You know, who knows if Nintendo does like a big revamp and relaunch of the service for the next gen console right out of the gate, or if that comes later on. I would assume they're going to make a pretty big push to get people to sign up for NSO like right after the console, the Switch 2 that is, launches. So I'm assuming that, you know, we won't have to wait long before some kind of new consoles are added in. I like the prospect of maybe like GameCube and Dreamcast, or GameCube and Wii. I don't think they'll add GameCube and Wii at the same time. I think we'd get GameCube first, then Wii. If they figure out a way for DS controls, which maybe it is that mouse controller that we've been looking at on the side of the Joy-Cons, and that way you can kind of point and click with the Joy-Cons if you need to. For the touchscreen controls, that would just be on screen. That would be one solution, and I could see DS being in the conversation of new systems to come to the next-gen console as well. But obviously, besides that, things like, you know, online matchmaking in rooms, and we'll just hop straight into like the next game here. But, you know, online matchmaking in terms of like where you can create a room and have people join in that aren't necessarily on your friends list would be a big win for NSO. And then if they do add in like a trophy and achievement system, I would absolutely love that to also extend to your old classic games. You know, very similar to that of how Sony is doing it with their classic catalog. I cannot read this text here, and I actually don't know what I'm doing to get into a game or not. I'm assuming this looks like controls or something like that. Yeah, okay, so we have 3 different stages here to pick from. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff Nintendo could like absolutely do in order to, you know, oh, okay, what is going on here? In order to really elevate the service, in my opinion. And, you know, you're going to obviously want to have a lot of people picking up the service like right out of the gate whenever you do, you know, launch it on a new console. So I think we're going to see some cool stuff from them. What that will ultimately be remains to be seen. But if they can stick to a once per month update cadence, that's exciting. The reason I think February is indeed the month that we will see them do the next round of updates, well, there's a very specific reason for that, and it is because I do, in fact, believe that at the February Nintendo Direct, we should safely be able to expect some kind of big NSO segment. So I don't know what to do here because now I've gotten this block up there, and I don't seem to be able to take the block back. We may need to, I don't know if this is restart. Yeah, that probably is restart. Okay, yeah, we're going to try this again. But yeah, I could see Nintendo, you know, having a February Direct portion of their event that is going to be focused on Nintendo Switch online. And I do think that like the next round of updates for maybe N64 games that are going to be bigger added into the service, that is entirely possible. Maybe some Game Boy Advance missing games. I'm really ready for DK64 and Diddy Kong Racing. I know I say it every time, but that is quite literally where I'm at this point. Like, we need those games in the service as far as I'm concerned. And this one's so far just very confusing to me on what I can and can't do. I don't know if I need to fill myself up again here. See, I can stop the block from going up there, but in terms of how I actually get it to move over here, unless if I can just jump from the block being right there, I don't know. You guys oh yeah, okay, we can't actually make that jump. Very surprising. Well, anyway, this is definitely like a puzzle platformer type of game. I think there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff for NSO to come. This update for me personally, not the biggest round of games by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm always down for a new SNES library of games or additional games being added in. Like I said, I just hope that they ultimately get into adding some more of those licensed games. I really want to, for some reason, I want to go through Goof Troop badly. I loved Goof Troop back in the day, and I would love to see that on SNES Online. So, you know, online matchmaking, bigger console updates next time around, all stuff that would obviously be a win. And what's cool is I think that we're going to be back in this environment where Nintendo's not really going to be pulling any punches with the online service because of the fact that they have a new console to get people pumped about and try to get the service for ultimately. Obviously, they want to make a lot of new NSO subscribers. So that's going to be a pretty cool thing. And I think a lot of updates that we will be able to look forward to. So in terms of how we progress past this, it's over my head for now. We'll have to figure this out later on off camera, but let me know in the comments down below if you guys are excited for any of the SNES games that got added in this time around. Are you hopeful that we get more updates soon? Do you think that we'll get a section at the February Direct where it does show us what's going on with the future of the service and stuff like that? Or do you think it might actually be a while before we see the next round of game updates? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.